people talking about heals.
Right.
They're talking about the heals. No.
Hey, if she can fight heals, you know.
Yeah, you know, she can do anything.
Is it possible to easily showcase her passive at the start of this? Because I think this is her passive really embodies what Alex was saying.
Apparently, yes.
Okay.
Tambo says.
Anthony's already ready. He's already prepared for this. So I'll let Alex run through what her kit is specifically and kind of the major themes that he and the team are trying to hit.
Sure. So I guess we could start even before you get a look at this gun here, but we and I do think you need to be in the spawn room to make those changes, but we can just take a look at this gun real quick. You know, this is the first look. This is her marksman rifle. This is the type of champion that we wanted to design. An interesting note, we wanted to, on design side, is take the concept of, can we make a weapon that's interesting and actually build this champion around it? So we've had ideas for champions, and we also had this idea for, you know, we really love the DMR style, the marksman rifle, this semi-automatic, high-power rifle that I can bring to the battlefield and just, like, not dominate, but just really kind of, like, be that in-between of, like, I'm not quite a Strix, I'm not quite a Victor. So you see it's kind of that semi-automatic style. I have to pull the trigger for every shot that I make. So I'm not holding it down and just letting it fire. I have to pull that down and make that deliberate choice. And this is the unaimed. This is our non-ADS fire right now with the marksman rifle, which, interestingly, to try and get around some of the problems of just running up on a champion, we'll get into it, but her rate of fire is a little higher when she's not ADS'd, and it also does a little bit less damage. So that's just not, we don't want players to run up and just, pull the trigger right in someone's face and say, good night. Like, it won't be that easy. But yeah, if we could take a look at the passives real quick. Now that we're back in the spawn room, let's see what she's working with. So this is a big change. This is something new for our champions. And, you know, I'm really excited to see how players use it. So at the beginning of a match, you're going to have 4 different passes to choose from. You'll only be able to choose one, and it will stay with you for the rest of the match, for you and your team. So we could take a look real quick. We've got Commander's Cooldown. That's going to give me and my team 10% decreased cooldowns on all of my abilities except the ultimate. So that's my movement, that's my primary, that's my alt ability. Anything that I use is going to have a 10% cooldown. Now this it stacks with Chronos, but those are diminishing returns. We also have Commander's Credit. So this is for every 5 champions eliminated by my team, every member gains 150 credits. So this is just going to be, hey, as a team, we're doing a lot of work. We're getting more credits as a team, right? We're getting that war chest, and we're saying, like, yeah, I want to make more purchases. I'm going to choose this if I want to give my team a little more, they can make independent choices. Next, we have Commander's Shield. This one's really interesting. This one was kind of what we wanted from the beginning. It was one of the first things we designed. But this is, every time I respawn, I get a 500-point personal shield. So you think of like a Torvald bubble shield. It is 500 points. You know, it's not huge, but that's going to give you just a little bit of extra time in that initial fight. Once it's destroyed, it goes away until you die and respawn, and then you get it back. And lastly, but not least, we have Commander's Ultimate. And right now, it gives you and your entire team 15% increased alt rate charge for the entire match. So again, that's really nice. You can stack it. It's like a 1.5 of the morale boost. And it's just something that, hey, I want to give this team, because I like my comp, I want to give them a little more oomph when they're choosing their ults. So this whole idea, this passive system, is just to give Octavia that choice when she jumps into the match and she's like, how do I want to play? How do I want my team to play? And like, how do I want to counter what the other team has? So this is just to play into that idea that she's a commander and she has maybe access to things that some of our other champs don't. And whenever you select one, we did a lot of really good UI work. Cam and our programming team, they made it look really awesome. So you get to choose this, and Jeff did these great 2D arts here. I think these look awesome. And whenever you choose one, we also will display it in your loadout screen, so that as an enemy, I know exactly that the enemy team or my team, I can highlight over it and I can see what we've picked and what I maybe should play around. And we didn't want these to be really complicated, right? These are pretty simple to understand. I don't have to radically change my play style, but they just give you a little extra strategy when you're playing. And I don't know, like, what do you think, Kevin? How do you feel the passives have been in like playtests?
Yeah, they're interesting. I think stats are sometimes hard to feel, but I think what it does really well is it emphasizes what this character is trying to do from a thematic standpoint, which is be a commander and provide, opportunities for her team to succeed. Rather than be something that is, more selfish options where she just gets, stronger damage. It is something that is what is best for my team. And I, from a design standpoint, really love that an Octavia player gets to make that choice. And depending on the situation, some or the matchups, like some passives may work better against a specific comp or with a specific composition. So I'm really excited to see kind of how players, when they get their hands on her, are selecting their passives.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it's a lot of fun to look at the other passive in a match, especially when there's two Octavias, and you start to think like, okay, maybe they're going to have this personal bubble shield. Maybe am I going to like attack that very first point differently or after they respawn? So it's just like an interesting, small but impactful change. But we can go in. And if it wasn't said before, she is our damage. She's a new damage champion. She has 2,200 health. And we had started to look at it a little bit, but we have this marksman rifle. We had done a little bit of that un-ADS, or, where I'm just kind of firing the weapon. I can really fire it off pretty quickly. It doesn't do a lot of damage because the real meat of Octavia's kit is aiming down sights. And when she aims down sights, she gets this really nice, again, the weapons team killed it. So we get this nice shift in. It's kind of like a Strix. It's kind of like Vivian and Victor, but we wanted something a little more impactful. So we get this really cool custom reticle on there. And now when I fire my weapon, I'm dealing more damage. She's going to be dealing 500. It says 501 there. That's not the final number, but she deals 500 damage, and there is a drop-off. So she's effective about up to 900 units. As you can see, she can hit pretty far. She can put a lot of pressure on the point, but this is the main way that Octavia deals damage. She doesn't have a lot of abilities that are going to deal damage otherwise, so we wanted to put a lot of power and impact into her weapon. And as you can hear, and I don't know how everyone feels about it, but the weapon is just, it sounds so good. I think Thomas nailed it, that semi-automatic, like heavy rifle feel.
Yeah, Thomas killed it. Thomas kills it every patch. But I was particularly impressed with this weapon. It feels hefty and it feels powerful, especially when you connect with the player, more so when you get a headshot. It feels like it comes with a heavy hit, and it does in a lot of cases.
Yep. And you might notice something a little different with this weapon fire too. Like, as you're watching it, you can kind of see that if he's firing, like, if our cameraman's firing, like, you can tell that the weapon kicks a little bit. It's not like I don't have perfect accuracy when I'm ADS. I have to actually, like, the weapon, it needs to adjust a little bit. So if I really want to land all my shots, I need to find, just like that good DMR style or that good marksman rifle style, I need to find a good steady cadence for my firing rate if I want to get the maximum accuracy. But that does not mean that you can't just sit there and like, hey, I need to fire. So she's definitely like dependent on, it's good if she's got ammo, right? She's gonna be one of those characters that you're probably gonna be running deft hands, but like so much of her power is in this gun, and I think it just feels great.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of where she landed ultimately.
Yeah.
But I think the rest of her kit also is gonna highlight kind of more of the aspects that she provides from a commander standpoint as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's get into that. Let's jump into it. Let's see what commanding league
Also, she
like.
is a damage champion. I've seen some people in chat asking about that. Yes. She is damage.
And so one of the ways that she gets around the map is she can jump, but she has this commanding leap, and it's no joke. So as you can see, she has the...
I was just going to say, people have been asking about the passive abilities that you showed. They want to know if that's for every champion or just Octavia.
So right now, this is just Octavia. This is a special passive that she receives. So when you pick Octavia, you're going to have the opportunity to pick any of those passives. Once you have Octavia, they're all unlocked. It's not like talents, but right now only Octavia has these abilities. But the whole team will benefit. So yeah, as you can see here, we have an 8-way, an omnidirectional leap that gives Octavia just, she's a damage champion, but we also wanted her to be able to, if someone jumps up on her, we want to give her a little bit of escapability. We want her to be able to move, and that's exactly what this ability does. But we didn't want it to just be a leap. So we've actually added in another layer, another combo. So if the player jumps and then aims down sights, something special kind of happens. So as you can see here, we get a brief moment of midair stasis. I can leap, and I can activate this at almost any time. There is a slight clearance on the ground, and you'll just play and you'll kind of feel that out. But I can leap, and as soon as I ADS, I'll stop for up to 2.5 seconds in the air, and I can fire. In this kind of in playtests, we've found that this is delivering a really interesting play style where players now are like, it's easy enough to track, but you don't know when she's going to use it. You don't know if she will use it. And it just gives her a moment where she gets a huge power moment. She's not invulnerable. She can take full damage during this. She can be CC'd, she can be thrown around, but it feels so good to use. And it's such a good moment for you to maybe jump over a ledge, pull up your weapon, fire, drop down. There's just a lot of opportunities for counterplay and interesting moments for Octavia.
Yeah, I actually think one of my favorite moments that I've experienced in playtesting was getting knocked off a map and then activating this, because there are some height checks where it's not exclusive to her jump, if I'm correct, Alex, and actually being able to take out the player that ended up knocking me off. And I still died, but it really did feel like a power moment for me. And you get that a lot with this element to the ADS while falling. I think it is a lot of fun to play.
Yes.
You are also super vulnerable and exposed because you are just a damage dealer with 2,200 health hovering in the air. So it is something like players have to make an active choice on when to use it and how to use it to actually make this effect useful.
Yep. And thank you for pointing that out, Kevin. But yeah, I can use that floatability when I just jump off, right? It's best paired when you're using your leap, but hey, you can jump off a high ledge and pull that out and give yourself a couple seconds of floating. So yeah, and we have some cards, and you'll see that as you get to play with her in PTS and when it does go live. But there are things to help in midair. But at base, yeah, you need to take care of her. You don't want to just jump at all times and pull that up. You might actually put yourself in a bad situation. But the next part of this other commanding kit, is what we're calling her Distortion Field. And this has been, which I think is usually a sign of there's a good design going on, but this has been pretty polarizing in our playtest. There are moments when we pull this Distortion Field and players are like, this is great, I love it. And some people are like, oh no, why, right? So what we have here is a Distortion Field. Right now, she deploys it. It lasts for 4 seconds, and it obscures the players inside of it to the enemy team. So this is going to be a little complicated to explain. It will make perfect sense when you play it, but we'll try and do our best. So an Octavia can throw this out, and you and your team, so everyone on Octavia's team and Octavia, can see into it and out of it. Enemies cannot see into it, and enemies can't see out of it. So I'm kind of creating this nice opaque bubble where I can hide or I can disorient enemies. So I can use it offensively or I can use it defensively. The other part of this is that it does not block damage. It only obscures vision. So players could still fire into it. Or maybe I throw the Distortion Field out thinking that I'm safe and, a Willow dead zones it, or a Tyra throws out her Firebomb. There are counters, but this created really interesting gameplay moments where I can leap, I can land, or as I'm about to land throughout my Distortion Field, I have a place where I'm hiding. It's just a really cool moment.
Yeah, we should be able to showcase off an enemy throwing it. Anthony, if you want to do a spawn test spot. Oh no? Octavia space Distortion Field in quotations? should use the ability on cooldown.
We'll see. And while we're doing this, like
in quotations, sorry.
The VFX and programming on this was awesome. Roland completely killed it. So this is what you're going to see. Thank you, Kevin and Anthony. But that is what an enemy distortion field looks like. As you can see, you can't see into it. We'll get into one slight discrepancy with that. But right now, Octavia, she throws out that distortion field, and okay, I can't see into it, and it creates this really cool disorienting effect. I'm slightly slowed while I'm inside of it, but she's gaining control. Now, because of Octavia, we added a little bit of like an interesting combo. So an Octavia can always see into distortion fields. She can see into an enemy's distortion field. She's the only one that can do that. So while your team can't see into an enemy's distortion field, Octavia can see into all of them. So if you have two Octavias, she's going to be a little bit in the know. She's going to have a better idea of what's going on at all times. But as you can see, just real quick, like this VFX, and I don't know how you all feel, but like Roland killed it. It looks just amazing. This kind of fractured glass look is just so cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan too, mostly for, making sure to pull it out from a lot of our other shield-like abilities. Because one thing from a gameplay effect standpoint is that we don't want people thinking this is a shield that is going to block damage when they're inside of it. And so I think Roland did a great job of differentiating it from something like Makoa's shield. You can understand that I am not invulnerable in it. And enemies, can also shoot out of it. So you are not safe just because this is on an enemy. They can still kill you through it.
Correct. And, we've had a lot of variations of this in playtest. We didn't want it out all of the time. So, we put this on an 18-second cooldown. I didn't want players to feel like it's going to be constantly showing up, that you're going to be like fighting within these giant distortion fields the entire match. Like, you'll see them a good amount, but we didn't want it to feel oppressive. So there's some things there to try and help that a little bit. But yeah, just this in combination with her leap, the distortion field, it's just like the kit is just, I love it. It's been a lot of fun to play, and it's been a lot of fun to play against. I think the way her kit has evolved, if you really like those like super hype moments, those really good 1v1s, those really good like intense last second saves, she provides a lot of that. And then, we can look at like, how does she clear the battlefield? What's her ultimate like? And we kind of went through and we found that maybe she needs something that is just going to push the enemy down. She wants to say, hey, let's move forward. Let's finish this fight. So we've created something called the Creeping Barrage. A little bit of a Victor feel with the barrage, but instead I cast it once, and it goes out in a line. And again, yeah, I think the ult speaks for itself. But we went through a ton of iterations on this to get it to feel good. Ults can be tricky. But I think we eventually got this into a place that has been really fun to play with. Roland, again, and our programming team, like the way that the circle expands to let you know where it's going to hit is awesome. So let me go into a couple of facts as it keeps firing off here. Like, this is a Creeping Barrage style ultimate. So Octavia is going to fire it, and then she can move around. And wherever she's pointing when it launches, that's the direction it's going to head, and it goes in a straight line. As you can see, there's slightly alternating beams. The other part of this ult is that it's essentially two parts, and it's a little hard to see, but it's there. So you have a pre-fire beam, and then you have the large beam that comes about a half second behind that. So that first initial beam does a small amount of damage if it hits. It's kind of hard to hit, and it also pops shields. So if someone's unlucky enough, or if they get hit with it, it will destroy their shield. The other part then, that second beam, is the main damaging section of it. And that's going to deal, as you can see here, about 850 damage within that radius. And this also will cut through the world, right? So think of like a Furia beam. It will hit everyone in the level. If you're at the top of a building or at the bottom, it hits everyone along that line.
Yeah, I think the most fun I've had with this ultimate is actually playing around it on the enemy team. Because of the pre-fire beam, as an enemy, you can clearly see where the large beam is about to hit, but it can get very chaotic if you are already in the middle of a fight, which I think is what makes this ult very interesting. Because it's very easy to dodge when you see it coming, but in the middle of a fight or in the chaos of war or a battlefield, it can become very, very hard. And I've actually had instances where panic sets in, I get hit by the first beam, and I actually dash into another one. So it is kind of that like chaotic battlefield situation where something that is easily dodgeable when you see it coming becomes very powerful and hard to actually recognize.
Right. Yeah, it adds to the chaos, and the way it's designed is I'm pushing down that lane. Maybe we have this final push, and I want to kind of zone the enemy out a little bit, but it's not, as you can see, 850 damage is not an extreme amount of damage, but as Adonis just said, like, maybe I panic and I start to fly back. I'm trying to get away from this now, and now I'm kind of going back into it. So there is a little bit of just, you got to keep your cool. You can move around it pretty easily if you give yourself time to think, but it provides a really cool moment of like, I need to take cover, or I can't really, I just need to get out of the way. So yeah, the ult has just been great. So let's take this last bit of time and kind of look at her talents. And we've got 3 right now. And you know what, let's,
looks like,
let's start with Hell or High Water. Correct. This is a leap talent. So now when Octavia, it alters her leap. So whenever she jumps and she lands, she creates a healing pool for her and her allies. And Octavia gains, for that duration, she gains no ammo consumption. She's the only one who gets that. So her team gains health and she gains some health, but then she is not consuming any ammo. And this talent is just kind of not like, hey, this is my last stand, let's fight. And I think this is your default talent. And then next we have one called Asymmetric Warfare. This is going to be altering what we just talked about, her ultimate. And this is just kind of like, let's supercharge it a little bit. So now the ultimate is going to deal, not Asymmetric Warfare. Asymmetric Warfare is a little different, but we will talk about that anyways. This is the Distortion Field talent. There's so many words. This Distortion Field talent now will deal damage to enemies within it and heal allies while they're inside of it. And as you can see, we also did a treatment on the VFX for the bubble. So this, while you have this talent equipped, your VFX is going to have that kind of really cool electrical look to it that Roland just, I think he nailed. And I thank him so much for getting that in because it just looks so cool. So yeah, you're damaging your enemy. So now my ultimate is going to deal 1450 damage, so 600 extra damage, and it will root enemies if they are hit by that pre-fire beam. So this is like, I just want my ult to deal more damage. I really want to control the battlefield more with it. That's what this talent is for. That's Octavia's base kit. I'm really excited for everyone to get in there and play around with her and see what it feels like to kind of jump and fire, use that distortion field, and to kind of command the battlefield. Yeah, let's go into some voice lines and see what it sounds like, because I think the voice actor, she killed it.
Yeah, I remember we had so many great auditions, and this was definitely the top tier.
Yeah.
Well done. Just excellent. I'm no hero, just a leader. Team, you inspire me. Mission accomplished. I'm no hero, just a leader. Hey, there's no fighting allowed out here. This is the battleground.
Cool. Let's look at that. Yeah, that's the recolors here. These look amazing. No hat this time. She doesn't need it.
Oh yeah, this is her Maverick skin. So this skin will be unlocked through the season pass. So if you haven't already got it, you definitely want to get it to get this, which is like to me, it's very Magistrate-esque. So I really like that as well. And this will also be unobtainable after the Season Pass 2021 is finished. So you want to get this. And I believe you also will receive an Yagharoth one as well if you haven't purchased it already. This is her Commander skin. Recolor. This will be unlocked with 200 crystals or 60,000 gold for those who have that abundance of gold there. And I believe the 60k gold there, what is it? In our if you're playing through those trials of the realm, you get 60,000 gold at the end of that. That's a free commander skin there, as well as golden Octavia. So this, just like any other golden skin, make sure to always take advantage of those 2x champion XP weekends when we have them. You'll be able to get this with mastery level 50. So yeah, I think that this is a very exciting update. I'm really excited that we're doing more updates in a year as well. I'm excited that we're going to have more event passes more often. We are going to the 2-month cycles. And then this is just one of those one-offs too, just to let people know where a champion is releasing at the same time as an event pass. I believe there will be other ones where, correct me if I'm wrong, Adonis or Alex, where the event passes will release by themselves without a champion. And then there will be times where it's just a champion still throughout the year, or there's content releasing at the same time as a champion, correct?